What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we're going to talk about the 2012 NBA draft and why this draft illustrates that tanking does not work and that it is better to make sure that you have a keen eye for talent in your draft selection process than it does to tank for the #1 overall pick. If you're interested in more content like this, please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing to my channel for a wide variety of content to include sports, music, etc. So, the best way to start off this video is to talk about the 2011-2012 season. That season was shortened by a lockout. So, instead of playing the full 82-game schedule, they did not play a full season. A team at this time that was by far one of the least talented and also started off very poorly to begin the 2011-2012 season was the Charlotte Bobcats. If you remember, this was their old name before they changed over to the Charlotte Hornets. Their original name before those Hornets moved to New Orleans, because New Orleans was still going as the Hornets at that time. We'll talk about New Orleans in a minute. But the Charlotte Bobcats, as you can see here, had by far the worst record in the 2011-2012 season. They had a 7-59 record, which was 13 games worse than the next team, the Washington Wizards. And despite the high odds to draft the #1 overall pick that season, the New Orleans Hornets, who were the 4th highest odds that season at a 21-45 record, ended up with the #1 selection despite 13.7% chances that they would, in fact, draft with that pick. So, in this case, the Charlotte Bobcats, many people argued at this time, were intentionally tanking because they got off to a difficult start to the season, and Anthony Davis pretty clearly emerged as the #1 overall selection when he went on that run with Kentucky where he took them to a national championship that season. Hard to believe that was already 10 years ago. But the key takeaway, though, is that Charlotte, many people thought the best thing they could do for their team is just continue to lose games and try to get Anthony Davis. But Charlotte ended up getting the #2 overall pick, which is not a bad place to be in. But the moral of this video is that you have to make sure that you select talent if you're going to go the direction of tanking. Otherwise, it doesn't do you any good to tank. This draft is a good example of that. There's going to be some other drafts as well that I want to talk about in later videos too. So how did the 2012 draft end up shaking out? So as we can see here, the draft was highlighted by a #1 overall pick, Anthony Davis, going to the New Orleans Hornets. I don't think anybody really had any issue with that whatsoever. Anthony Davis was a transcendent big man at the time who demonstrated an ability to shoot. One of the I guess the first bigs that really kind of demonstrated an ability to play both outside and inside at a very effective rate, and also have a great shot blocking rate as well. Anthony Davis was clearly the #1 overall pick, and New Orleans ended up taking him. Later on in that draft, as you can see here, the Charlotte Bobcats ended up taking Michael Kidd Gilchrist. Michael Kidd Gilchrist at one time was actually the more highly touted prospect going to Kentucky in that class. But things didn't necessarily work out as well as expected at Kentucky. He was a brilliant defender, very good contributor to that championship team. But one of his big weaknesses is that he never really developed a great jump shot. And that ended up kind of being his downfall as he is now out of the league. So Charlotte ended up taking Michael Kidd Gilchrist with the next pick and really cost themselves some great players down the list, as I'll talk about in a minute. Michael Kidd Gilchrist, he was always a serviceable enough role player, but he never developed into that elite talent that Charlotte felt that he could. And as a result, he ended up getting waived by the team in the 2020 season, went to the Dallas Mavericks for a little bit, and then really looks like his career is pretty much over at this point. But the guys that Charlotte passed up on that they could have taken, just that very next pick, the Washington Wizards took Bradley Beal, all-NBA player, one of the best shooting guards in the league. Afterwards, a couple of dud picks that didn't really work out in the NBA. Dion Waiters went to Cleveland. He was more so he played a role in terms of his trade value to, I believe, bring J.R. Smith to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Thomas Robinson for Sacramento. That didn't pan out, but it seems Sacramento's picks almost never pan out for them. But then one of the biggest draft blunders is that they could have had Damian Lillard in this draft. And they also, the previous season, took Kemba Walker. So can you even imagine a backcourt of Damian Lillard and Kemba Walker developing together? I know they both play the same position, but in today's league, even if you have two point guards like that, you still would have a highly potent offense, and Charlotte would be in a great position through the latter half of the 2010 decade. But they didn't go that route. And even later on in the draft, you have some players that really could have been good fits for them. Andre Drummond at number 9 to the Detroit Pistons. Harrison Barnes, who was a contributor to the Golden State Warriors championship team in the 2015 season when they won their first title before KD went there. That would have been a better pick for them than Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, in my opinion. Barnes is still a productive player in today's league, even now, whereas Gilchrist is out of the league. You've got Austin Rivers at 10. That didn't necessarily... A lot of people had high hopes for Austin Rivers at that time because of his ability and talent that he showed at Duke, but still, he is a role player in the NBA, a very good role player for the Nuggets right now. Other guys down the list that they could have had. There's some other players down this list that have kind of had a short period of success in the NBA. You had Jeremy Lamb still in the league. Myers Leonard had an okay run with the Portland Trailblazers, more so known for his run with the Heat, though, where he was their biggest cheerleader on the bench during the bubble. You have guys like Terrence Jones, contributor to Kentucky, who kind of never really got his feet off the ground. Jared Sullinger had some okay days with Boston, but another big miss, Evan Fournier for the Denver, who was drafted by the Denver Nuggets at number 20, is a very solid role player right now for the New York Knicks and arguably their best offensive player outside of R.J. Barrett. I don't know if, best shooter outside of R.J. Barrett. Julius Randle, I think, is a better offensive player than Evan Fournier, but case in point, that's still a better pick than Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. But one of the biggest blunders down the line, and this is to me, with the 2012 draft, one of the reasons why tanking is less important than scouting and evaluation of talent is the second round of this draft. Let's just take a look at the first 10 picks of this 2012 draft. Jeffrey Taylor didn't pan out. Nonetheless, he was drafted by the Charlotte Bobcats. But let's take a look at some of the other players that they could have taken within the next 9 picks after that. Tomas Zadaransky. He's an okay point guard who's had some productive times with the Wizards and the Bulls. He's still in the league and productive. You have Jay Crowder, who is a championship level piece that is a key contributor to the Phoenix Suns, drafted at number 34. And then two of the biggest blunders that they made, Draymond Green was available there. He was drafted with the 35th pick in the second round. He was a key contributor to the Warriors in that draft. And Chris Middleton, drafted number 39 to the Detroit Pistons. He was eventually traded to Milwaukee, as we all know, for Brandon Jennings. But you could see that there were some, and you got Will Barton at 40, right behind, drafted the Portland Trailblazers, eventually traded to Denver, now a key piece for them. So all in all, the point of this is that this draft really illustrates that scouting and evaluation of talent is more important than tanking. Because even these guys that I just named in the second round have had more productive careers than Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who was drafted number 2. So I'm not saying Charlotte intentionally tanked that season to try to get Anthony Davis, but it didn't work out for them trying to go for Anthony Davis and then not also having an excellent fallback plan. They should have gone with a guy like Bradley Beal. I understand at that time they wanted to try to get a defender because Kemba Walker, undersized guard, not a great defender, still problems that he has today in today's league, but they would have been far better off going for that elite level talent like a Bradley Beal, a Damian Lillard, even an Andre Drummond, even any of these other guys that I've mentioned in the second round who they passed for to take Jeffrey Taylor. But the point of this video is that tanking is not the strategy to go in drafts. You want to try to make sure that your scouting and evaluation of talent is going to set you up for success, and this 2012 draft is a perfect example of that. Thank you for watching this video. I'm going to go through some more example of tanking and why it is a flawed strategy as well. So if you're interested, please consider checking out my channel. I also make a lot of other videos too. I do song covers on guitar, song reactions, fantasy football when we get back into that season as well. So if you're interested in a wide variety of content, please consider subscribing. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.